Welcome back. Happy Tuesday, February 18th. I'm Eve on this side of the screen that Marie's face is on, and over there is Marie, where my face is. Because I just can't get right. Um, Look, you can't, I guess you could blame me. I'm the one that's doing all the behind the scenes stuff. Don't blame
Yeah, like,
Marie.
yeah,
She has
isn't
no
that
control or handle on any of these things.
graphics then, please?
Anywho's. It's first world problems over here, right? Um, well, at least that's what I want to talk about tonight. First world problems. Do you exist in a first world country? It's a lot of people who they felt some kind of way when our president, former president at the time, had called people's places of residence and he called them poop holes, right? And as much as I've seen people dig holes and poop in them in public in some of these places, I've seen people here do some very strange and just why type of things. Here, of all places, like we've got toilet paper and running water. So,
I mean, do we have toilet paper? That's toilet paper is really scarce, so let's not use that as an example. And some places have water that they can utilize for things outside of just washing those, which I would think if I can't drink the water, should I be washing my hands with it or my body?
actually, right. I
So
mean, in
ask
some
that
of these
question,
places, they say
Are
you're not
we,
supposed to.
depending on where you're located in the
Right.
US, certain things could be a first world problem, depending on your location, your socioeconomic class, your access to resources, etc.
That's a very good point. And a point that we've made over and over and over again. A lot of these places have black faces in high places, like of all the people to be in control of some of these things. Um,
Mm, 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 mm.
can't really. You got to look at the immediate situation and then you look at the higher ups and then the higher ups and the higher ups because all of these problems they're layered and leveled. um Eric, I don't know if we're going to be able to get to your link because it's a Facebook link. If you, I don't know, Marie, if you want to check that out and then send it over, whatever, we can do something about that. Thank you for commenting, Eric. I hope it's relevant to the conversation. We haven't really started, so it's all good. Um, Flint, Michigan. Everybody's favorite brown president um, drank the water and then acted like everything was cool. And I think that maybe he got some kind of tetanus shot after the fact or some kind of antibiotic before the fact. Um, and that's
It
just
wasn't at the time when it was, but then it's like, was he in Flint actually, or was he just in Detroit, or was Then it's like, was this? From what I had heard, their water crisis has been resolved, but there's so many. Like there's water crisis, the water situation in Jackson, Mississippi. Um,
there was just a water crisis here in Virginia in Richmond. I mean, it's very strange that in a first world country we've got utility problems, right? I hate the fact that we have to pay utilities. And then if you look at the history of these things, you find that it is a very patterned past. If you've listened to anything that I've ever had to say publicly or privately, you'd know that I'd blame it on the man. That racism, white supremacy, man, not any one specific man, but all of the problems seem to be rooted in making sure that we don't advance. And then when we miraculously find a way to make a way, then things start costing. And then they start costing more. And then they start costing more. And well, you didn't used to have a degree for this job, but now you do. And you didn't used to have a master's for this job, but now you do. And oh, now everybody's got a master's, but you're overqualified for the job that is being offered at the time. So, well, to bad you didn't get that DEI, right? But then there's no more DEI anymore. Let's see. Slim Thug. Eric, are you asking about Slim Thug? Is that what we're talking about? All right, I'll see if we can pull it up. I don't know if that's a. We'll see how we can make it relevant, if it's relevant. I have no clue because
I don't know. I've never slept with any. I've never dealt with sleeping with women of other races to know if they are. I mean, I would assume a man would have more of opinion on that or how they feel about that.
Very interesting, right? I want to pull it up so that y'all can see it. Or maybe I don't even have to. It's that Slim Thug says every other race gives it up easy, but black women make black men jump through hoops. And I mean, in my personal opinion, just from what I've seen, I would say that all women make men jump through hoops. Also, I think
I think
maybe
also depends on who the man is and what the
that
vibe is
was the
like.
next part, like
Sometimes you
depending on
got,
who you are,
sometimes you don't.
you
Like
might
I
not
don't.
have many hoops to jump through. If you're a woman not giving a man any hoops to jump through, then you might want to just put a pause on that. You might have hit the pavement a little too hard and you know, reel it in. But then
But then I don't know. It's something like I was telling my friends, or even to recently. I do believe, like, or how do I do this? A lot of men don't do anything to make you want to have sex with them. Like I don't. There's like you're not doing the things. Like I don't. It's not even that I don't want to have sex with you. I don't want to have sex with any men, and it's not that I'm gay either. You just haven't done the things, and that's just what it is. What it is. And even recently, I had some of my hormones tested, and they were kind of low in certain levels. I was like, well, why couldn't it be just as equivalent to women? Like just how women are around other women, and like their cycles change, things sync up. So if I'm not around men a lot, and then the men they're not doing any things, why would my sexual hormones be high? No one's done
good
anything
point.
to.
Proximity too, and all
So,
of
so
the
like I told my, I'm like, what? No one's done anything to make me want to. So I don't necessarily think that my sex drive is low. There's a problem there. I think no one's done the thing. So consequently, and I haven't been around anyone that's made me want to. That's why it looks like. That's why it looks like I'm dealing with postmenopause, and I haven't even started menopause yet, or I'm not at the. I might be at the peri phase, but it looks a little post. He's like, yeah, don't worry about that. They just ain't been doing the things. Like that's all.
But I mean, just
Shit make
just
me
off
want to.
the rip, what you just said sounds like obstacles. Keisha in the chat. I don't know if they're supposed to jump through hoops. I just know that for the most part, we don't just accept whatever it is unless they're doing the things that Marie said. Like you have to be doing a whole bunch of things already for her to just let you in, unless again she doesn't have any obstacles for anybody, and then
I mean,
maybe
that's the thing. It's once, here's the irony. It's always something, right? Well, first we're two leads. A lot of black women in general, even young black women, were always objectified, over sexualized, etc. So it's like, so now, but now we're making, so first we were just loose and just, whatever.
loose
And
and
then now there's
scandalous and
stereotype.
too prudish.
Well, now
Yeah.
you're making everyone, you're the only one. I don't know what the Asian women are doing. I don't know what the Hispanic women are doing. I don't know what the white women are doing. I don't know. I have white girlfriends, and I know some of them have not had sex for months, and they have a white significant other. So I don't. I think so. It's where is this coming from? Are people not wanting to have sex with you? Are you not like? Is it a lack of like? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if Slim Thug is saying that, right, and he's saying it
But
about
honestly,
all races of women, then it
so
seems
he would never get any pussy from me. Like I would never want to have sex with him. He says really dumb, crazy things on a regular basis, like consistently. It's almost like, can you say less? He's almost right up there, almost with Meek Mills these days. Like just be quiet and look nice, sir. Thanks. You're uninformed. You don't know what you're talking about. Like just chill. Like he was gonna vote for Kamala just because she was black. And then that goes back to black people, high place, high black faces,
blackface, high plays,
shit.
doesn't really right.
Just showing up black was enough for you. And again, going back to these places where you're saying that, well, we're seeing the issues with utilities, water shortage, water not being, I guess, purified properly. We're even seeing just overall issues. A lot of those times, those places are ran by Black folks.
Right, right.
You know, or cop cities ran by Black folks. So you mean you signed off on a higher budget for your police and militarization of police, and you already know that African Americans are disproportionately targeted? So you want to, and then you put it adjacent to a Black community? But yes, I'm just gonna vote for her because she Black. Oh, okay, nigga. Okay.
Look, that's that's kind of a first world problem. I think people like who they like, and then they don't really care about policy. We've been talking about policy since we've been talking, right? Because
Policy
it's not
matters.
really about the popularity as much as it is. You got to understand and appreciate that part of it, because Kamala could have won. She should have won. She's got more
Yes.
years.
And I have talked to so many intellectuals, like I've talked to so many people, and even they would say to me, you know, well, okay, so I'm like, hey, you voted for Kamala. What did she have? You know, these are people with doctorates and stuff. She wasn't Trump.
And that's unacceptable at this point. And then you guys are all
What?
upset.
What? She wasn't like, do you really think that that's satisfactory? And that's why you guys are losing. That's why you're continuing, like, you teed this shit up because you have piss poor policies. And at the end of the day, policies really matter. Even if you're lying, policies matter to Americans, especially working class Americans. Policies matter to rich Americans. Policies matter. It's not enough. It's like this whole popularity contest where they're Black and they're a rapper. What?
You know, that I think that time has passed, even though we do amalgamate behind celebrities. It just kind of depends on how we feel. If you've continued to crap on us, then at some point we're gonna just say, all right, you got it, your game, whatever, and then just gracefully bow out. And I believe that that's what's happened. And then, well, now everybody is having to deal with the fact that this is what it's always looked like for us. And now it's looking a little shifty for you, and you need some help because you've never had to deal with things. But that's kind of a beautiful segue into this little clip right here.
CBS News has learned the Office of Personnel Management has given federal agencies until tonight to issue layoffs in the Trump administration's efforts to downsize. Earlier today, I spoke with Natalie Brand about how people affected by these widespread cuts across the government feel.
I traveled to Ashburn, Virginia, about 40 minutes outside of Washington, D.C., as you know. This is an area where you will find a variety of political views, but also an area that is heavily dependent on the federal government. You have federal employees there as well as government
I couldn't find this other video that relates to this specific point, but there's this guy who went on Zillow and looked at, and I guess I could do it right now. Okay, I'll do it right now. All right, so on Zillow, so we can find out if he was just doing it for the gram or if this is real. He was saying and showing this picture of all of these houses in and around the Capitol that are all for sale, and then how much they're for sale, which I've always known how much the property is worth up there, but still, it's it was very strange that it was so many houses for sale, and outside of maybe it's always just that many homes for sale in DC. But look, yeah, that's DC right there. Look at that. It's like every spot in DC is for sale almost. And I know it's all zoomed out, but that's because DC is only but so big, and it is in between two different states. Look at this. That's insane. This is Maria, is that insane, or am I just
I wonder if those were all like properties owned or rented out, like corporate properties or things like that.
Right. Government contracting and independent contractors to
Like,
the
is
government.
BlackRock
And
going to come in and buy it all like they normally do? Like, what's going to
say
happen?
one more time.
Like, is like BlackRock going to come in and buy it all, or
Oh,
you know,
that
'cause
would be
you know,
very interesting.
you know, that's interesting too, because, you know, like when we bailed out the banks, the guy that actually was the reason that the banks fumbled, or that they were part of the group of people making the choices, he was like the guy they then put in charge. Like, so let me get this right. So you fucked up. Like, because even too, the catch with the bailout the banks is because the way the system is designed, the banks hold a lot of leverage and equity in America. So if the banks fail, then Americans fail in essence because of the things that we've allowed the banks to do. So
Right.
we bailed out the banks because we had to, because unfortunately it was all interconnected. However, the guy who put us in the situation, or the people that put us in the situations to need to be bailed out, were also then put in charge after they did the bailout, which just doesn't make any motherfucking sense to me. Like, are you smoking crack? Like, what the fuck? Like, but then it also kind of lets you know there has to be like all these inside shit going on. Because that just what
Inside shit. How do you make low six figures for 2 years, 4 years, and be worth over $20 million? Be worth $100 million?
Insider trading.
Come on, y'all. It's so strange. People will say,
would you not participate though? Like, so think about it. Like, let's say you were in Congress, right? Would you not? Like,
as of right now, it's not considered insider trading.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, there's some fines, but there aren't the kind of fines that would really make it undesirable.
Right.
Like, you need a fine that literally like eats you up, like tore your ass off, so you're not finna go back and do it. Like, yeah, won't be making them kind of trades no more. But so they have it set up where there is like a slight fine, but it's like a little slap on the wrist, you know. But like, if you were in the position, you had this information, would you do it?
See, that's the
no. And is it unethical? I mean, in essence, you're doing everyone's doing.
Right.
And, you know, you just happen to have information that maybe no one else has access to at that time. Now, because time matters, right? Because it's the sense of it's when you do it. Right. And then when it does go public, by then it might be too expensive to get in.
Right.
I mean, it's really one of those things like, are you taking advantage of getting the most out of the role that you're in?
Well, that's why these people go into these positions. It's not to help the people. It's not to fix the water. It's not to fix.
But what if you could help the people and get a little money?
If there were people doing that, then I think everything would be a lot better. People are getting in there and doing for self and for their specific and immediate family.
It's the young lady Crockett out of Houston. She's a very big advocate. She's very loud and proud. She was that one that made that comment about Marjorie was a bad build, blonde.
Right.
You know, she's at the cap of 174K a year. However, she is a millionaire. However, she does do her thing, due diligence when it comes to community. So then my question is like, so will we need her to do maybe invest in some programs with her extra earnings that she made? Like, what would make her not somewhat establishment as well? And then she's doing something
that makes sense,
right? So then that's a part two, right? So everyone else is doing it, but because I'm Black and I'm your savior, am I supposed to not do what they're doing? So I should be poor because I should not get money. Yeah. I should ignore this additional information that I got.
Yep.
Because there's an application now. There's a new program that allows you to follow particular people. It's like decisions for stock. Like, so you can say, I would like to mirror my investments based off of Nancy Pelosi's investments.
Whoa. Talk about the algorithms at work for people. And shout out to the programmers who make these things happen. I think that's very smart. But also, I think that maybe the Democrats have made some bad investments.
But no, we're not allowed to talk about them. I've lost a lot of friends for talking about the Democrats because they're the untouchables. And to talk. In fact, because we said negative things about the Democrats and told the truth, that is why that they didn't get elected. It's our fault. Yeah.
Shame on us
And
for
I'm
thinking about things.
some of them have unfriended me. Now they're not here for me to talk shit about the Trump, like the Republicans, the Trumps, because they're not even real Republicans. The Trumps in office, like all of them are Trumps. The MAGA, they're not even real conservatives anymore. They're just Trumps. The Trumps in office. So now they're not here to for me to show, hey, I'm going to criticize whoever is in office because I'm holding people accountable or I'm calling
equal opportunity around here.
Exactly. How am I going to call Trump out when Trump was at home at the time? He stayed home when he was not a president. He was not actively waging a genocide, and then now that he is, even then they're like, well, he was going to displace the Palestinians. I'm like, they've always wanted to move them to Egypt and Jordan. That's all. In fact, we were giving them money to warm them up to the idea of that. That was always the plan. He just said the quiet part out loud. But he's not doing anything than your dear old Biden-Harris administration weren't willing to do or didn't plan to do. He's continuing the thing. I
kind of just have to laugh at some of these arguments because it's maybe it's the customer service aspect. People aren't mad at me. They're just mad. And, as soon as they feel heard, they can carry on about their business. For the most part, some of y'all want your money back. A lot of people are realizing that they didn't get anything for their non-monetary vote. That is costing a lot. And actually, that brings us right back to this.
Contractors, people who work for businesses that support the federal government. So I talked to more than a dozen people. Many of them didn't want to go on camera, but some of them did go on camera and shared their opinions, ranging from fear to some applauding what is going on right now. But one of the women I met, her name is Carol. She says her husband works for a company that's heavily dependent on contracts from USAID. So over the past few weeks, all of his projects have been shut down. And she said that his company has had to furlough around 70% of its staff. She and her friend, Janet, spoke to us about some of their concerns. Take a listen. This is Carol and Janet.
Everything just feels very indiscriminately done. There's no purpose to it. They're just slashing people.
Oh,
okay. Sorry.
Girl, I got the no commercial account next time. Let me know.
We're gonna have to maybe do that because that's
get coast to coast coverage with Cox Mobile.
Let me stop playing
without any kind of.
I'm gonna stop playing right now. I'm sorry for talking shit about the commercials. Commercials make YouTube great for people who have accounts that have commercials.
Of thoughtful consideration of what they do, what their job is.
I just don't understand how all this can happen and there's no control over it. And we've got people in the Oval Office now that aren't politicians that have no right to be making these decisions.
Let's talk about that though.
And now,
as an educator, I often would find that I don't have control over things. Okay. No, that was real too. Sometimes students get crazy. People in administration, they might not have been in the classroom in years, right? So then they want to come and start doing things. And then worse, you'll get somebody who's not in education at all. And then they want to come in and start doing things. And that can be very scary for people who are used to things happening a certain way. Have you seen that in the tech world? I mean, I'm sure you have because tech, there's an update every so many, I don't know, I want to say months because sometimes things are very fast, but maybe it's every so many years. So maybe a programmer might get hooked on one code or one language and then...
Well, there's always something changing, right? So what I've seen, so it's not always necessarily the actual code that's being like. So imagine let me give you an example of like the automotive industry. When I was in the automotive industry, especially with COVID coming, like they would like roll out things that maybe made sense in, let's say, like a lot of online shopping programs did wonderful in the Northeast or the Northwest. You know, and especially like the whole thing of staying home, being masked up, like people were okay with that. They were fine with that. Now the South, they don't trust nobody. They don't want to put the information in online. They don't, you know, and then not the rural South. Like, first of all, they've been at home with Juanita all day. Bob is trying to get the fuck out, and Bob needs to see the bells and whistles on the vehicle. Bob needs to touch the truck. He needs to get inside the truck. He needs to see what's going on in that truck. And Bob also does not, like, if you give Bob's information away, Bob will fuck you up, okay? Bob is not playing. Do not give out his info. If someone ever contacts him, he'll return this truck so quickly. And I say that to say that so the things that they wanted to roll out in the South weren't open to it. And it wasn't necessarily they weren't open to it. They also had a different kind of consumer. But this is also these ideas are coming from way up. Right. You know, like it even was like this one dealership. Well, if this is a small mom and pop, and maybe they have 2 vehicles on the lot, do you think they want to pay for a digital retailing tool? They want to pay $1,000 or $600 a month for a digital retailing tool for the 2 cars they have? And then they might only really got those 2 cars because then nobody want to buy them motherfuckers. So they need to either do a trade, or somehow they need to be allocated another vehicle in their inventory and something that maybe might be in a little more demand. Or they have to like drastically reduce the cost in order to sell the vehicle. And I say that to say I've seen that. I remember I was working for ADT. I was working for their training department, and their VP came over from pharmaceutical. So it's like people coming over from different companies trying to do certain things that like a certain way they did it, but it's like a different industry. Right. And I get there's an idea, maybe there might be something transformative, but sometimes certain things don't work like that.
That's the DEI again. Look, the way that I see it, there's a lot of things that are diversity and inclusive, and then I don't know about equity. I'm having a hard time finding any equity, as much as things have been tried to be level, you know, but then that's like that picture of the kids looking at the baseball game. If the tall kid is standing on a box and then the really short kid is standing on a box, and then the middle kid is standing on the box, and there's a fence in the way. Do you know what picture I'm talking about?
Yeah, no. And then one kid is getting like a little extra box so they can see, because
well, that would be equity.
Box, one still is at a disadvantage, and they wouldn't be able to participate without that additional, which I mean, it's no different than, I mean, to some degree, DEI is a fucking ramp. It's a ramp, a wheelchair ramp. How can I access? It's an accommodation.
Sure.
You know, people,
that makes sense.
It's things that people are really thinking of. And I also think it's all about too, the employer, their thought process, how they see it, how they view it. Going back to even with the DEI right now, it was really seen more like Black things. And we've known that for like ever since.
That's what it's supposed. It's supposed to be black light, right?
Like their intent was these Blacks, and then they got a hold of them, was kind of like, oh, these white women. The white women. Well, I did want Marsha to stay home, so. This could work out, and I kind of need some more babies.
No, they definitely need more babies. If this is the goal, is to make them have nothing better to do, they're too late. Y'all are too late. There's too many videos and people documenting themselves with their inanimate objects and or non-people object things. It's insanity out here.
I'm gonna send you something later. I really loved it. It was a white farmer, and he was just talking about how misleading certain things are. Even just the idea too that we keep associating, the inner city or urban areas with, like, I guess, welfare. And going back to the fact that, like, farmers, a lot of businesses, majority of businesses do receive welfare.
Absolutely.
They come in breaks and incentivized programs, things like that. We see it all the time. But the thing is, we only hear about, or we're only pointing out when we see someone of color, someone that's typically part of a marginalized community, then we're mocking it. But there's so many whites, and I go back because the whites is out there getting out the mud and the sand and the trailer and the dirt, and we're not. What just happened? And we're not talking about enough of how a lot of those rural communities really depend on government programs and government agencies, their schools, their hospitals. Everything is really dependent on, and again, our farmers depend on that. So there's so much to it. And it's like someone's being dubious, like, well, we're gonna cut this and do this because you think some bitch up the block is at home getting welfare, smoking blunts or whatever, and you trying to figure out why she got nicer clothes than you and her rent's only $24. And that's really not there's not as many instances of that as you think.
At least not the stereotype. It's not the stereotypical thing anymore. And I love that. I mean, what was it? Was it Good Times? What animated show just came out 2 years ago, last year, a couple of years ago, and they had the roach singing in the bathroom? It was a remake of another show, and I didn't watch it, but that one clip, it was like how dare you associate roaches and niggas? Like, that hasn't been a stereotype for us in a very long time. And then from there, I don't even think that it was a real thing as much as if you start stacking people on top of people and then holding and withholding resources and updates, things are gonna start becoming dilapidated. Like, that's just, and on top of that, still, I don't know, that Dusty and Bummy and Crummy had never been a move or a way of life for us, as much as people always wanted to put that on us. You can't tell me that the number of people I've seen hanging from trees in pressed, I'm talking iron to the crisp, pleats to the T, they're pleated to the gods, even, and then even in death, because again, they're swinging. So it's not necessarily that their pants was hanging, and they just
strange fruit.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So even when we didn't have anything, we still knew how to. When you left the house, you were presentable, you were clean, you ready to make your mark on the world. And then now, well, people can roll out of bed and go to school in your pajamas, because that's a move, I guess. Or you can go to the store with your housewares on, which I guess if that's your thing, you can do that. But I just find that these are maybe first world problems. Other people don't have all these outfits anyway, right? Like, they not really shuffling between housewares and outwears and loungewear, pajamas. Maybe you just have clothes, and then maybe you
get back to something
clothes for things. But you made me think of this video of this one woman who got caught for welfare fraud. What'd she say? I think they said something like her rent was like $18 a month or something like that. Did you see that?
No, but I would love for some $18 rent.
Here it is.
Somebody reported me to the state of Michigan because I'm W. I got a DHS letter in the mail this morning, and I just now opened it. And somebody reported me to the state of Michigan because I'm making money on TikTok, and I drive a 2024 BMW. They have cut my food stamps from almost $4,000 a month down to $88 a month. They are telling me if I want a review, that I have to sell my car. So you're telling me if you were on welfare, food stamps, cash assistance, Section 8, you can't drive a nice car? They are forcing me to sell my brand new BMW, or I lose almost $4,000 in food stamps. Not only that, they have taken my cash assistance totally away. They are telling me that Section 8 will no longer be paying 95% of my rent, only 10% of my rent. So I will have to pay a little over $400 a month now instead of $60 a month. They cannot.
It looks like the Doge.
The first time I saw it, I thought that she was like joking another video that she had seen of someone saying that they lost their welfare because of TikTok, because I have seen people saying that they've gotten letters. I've also seen people like recording people at the store, like doing transactions, and I'm gonna tell on you, and it's all very strange. And TJ in the chat, you said this, right? But I think that you're right. Like, you're joking, but I think you're right. All of these insecure people, and we have to be comfortable because they're uncomfortable. And as much as I love the sentiment, like, if we all can't be comfortable, then we're all going to be uncomfortable. It's just a little skewed. You got to put it in the right spot. I don't ever want to see anybody's lingerie outside of a place where you would wear lingerie. I don't think Target, Walmart, or the gas station. But look, what if you're on your way to somewhere and you had to stop at Target, Walmart, or the gas? Like, I don't know. I'm trying not to be controlling, Marie, but
I mean, I love a good, nice pajama set, and I ain't gonna lie, I needed something
out in the world or in your home.
No, I mean in my home, but I'm not gonna lie. The other day, I was missing one ingredient. I was in the middle of cooking. I had my pajamas on, and again, they were cute matching pajamas. And it wasn't like lingerie or anything. It's like cotton shorts, shirt, like button up. I wore that shit. I went ahead and put my little thing, like hurried up, bought my one ingredient I was missing for my meal, brought my ass back home.
Let me ask you this. And this might be
I didn't know if maybe it was that I had a white mother, so maybe I was like, maybe that's why I did it.
Look, I wasn't gonna say that. I just wanted to know. Did you go to bed in those pajamas, or do you have other sleeping attire? Like, that's just your house lounge wear that you happen to wear out, and then you went to sleep in something else.
I don't think I went to bed in those pajamas, but they are I don't have so my house wears joggers or something, but my actual pajamas, depending on if I like took a shower, I think what it was that night I was making cookies, and I think I had already showered. So I had my pajamas on.
Like, I'm already done.
And then it was like, I realized I didn't have baking soda because it was on a fluke anyway. It's like 7 p.m. It was like I had baking soda, but I used that baking soda for cleaning. And I just didn't want to I don't know.
First world problems.
Again, I don't know because I was cleaning with cross-contaminated, and then I'm about to put that same baking soda on my cookies. So I'm like, let me run it. I think I ran to Whole Foods real quick, grabbed the baking soda, got up out of here, made it back to the house. But I'm not a lingerie at home. Hell, I'm not even lingerie type. Again, I'm joggers, some nice look. I'm like, my friend joke, you got your Michelle Obama pajamas on. So mine are pretty conservative. There's nothing sexy going on or anything.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's more about levels to that, because to me, if you didn't go to sleep in anything you went outside in, then that would kind of be along the lines of at least how I was reared. But then the wearing of that. Okay, Marie, I know you don't just roll out of bed and go to the store.
No.
Okay, so I'm good. We're gonna start there.
I need sunscreen. I don't. There's things that need to be done first.
There's things, right? But then some people, they do. I remember one time, y'all, and I'm kind of No, I'm not embarrassed to say
Do
this.
you wear your bonnet outside since we're being funny? I'm like, since
No,
we're
I mean, this
since
is
we're
as
being
close to
60s
a
right now,
bonnet that I wear outside, but this is actual outside hat. And
Okay.
then, you know, when I go to bed, I put on a different bonnet that covers all my hairs, right? So, no, I just, damn.
Look, I'm talking about since we being funny. I'm like, since we being messy already, do you go outside in bonnets? I don't even wear a bonnet. I don't own one, but
You don't sleep in a bonnet? You sleep with
no,
something on your head,
no,
though.
I have satin. I have two. I always
Right.
have 2 satin pillows on my bed, but
It's your
I
pillow.
actually use a wave cap. It keeps like so when I wrap my hair up at night to keep it straight, I just put the wave cap on and it keeps my hair.
It like you do the little the swoop it around into the
And
little
then what I'll do is if I do need to run out and I don't want to take it off, I do have like these satin turbans I'll put on. So I'll put the turban on over so you really can't
Yeah,
tell.
see, but that's not a bonnet. You had to do something. A bonnet is like my hat.
I don't understand the point of, for me, a bonnet never, like, I don't get how a bonnet, like, how it's going to stay on or keep my hair straight. So that's probably why I don't own a bonnet, because I'm like, what the fuck is the point? Like,
Right. Well, that's the thing.
like
Yeah, bonnet with when my hair is straight, I still have to wrap it and then put the do-rag on before I put the bonnet on. And then at that point, it's a lot of stuff.
I do want to hit on something kind of not as funny or fun. Sorry to take away from the first world problems or just the superficial concerns we have tonight. Hillbilly LG, the book.
Yes.
That JD Vance wrote.
JD Vance's book.
I find it very, and this was going back to what we like. So mind you, this was like 2 conversations ago, because you hit on something that we didn't. We were talking about like the ghetto queens, and we were talking about. So for JD Vance to be a part of administration destroying a lot of these programs, I find it very. I don't know. I don't want to say, like, I don't know how to say, but it really gets to some sellout shit, especially because you know how these programs directly impact your own aunts, your relatives, your kinfolk in the Appalachians Mountains and those rural communities and those trailer parks. Firsthand how that impacts them, and you would gut it. Just, I guess, and that's the funny part.
He's just the vice president, Marie. He doesn't have any control over these things.
And the irony, though, too, is he also talked down on education, too. So it's like, well, which is it, motherfucker? Like, take a person.
You can't have it both ways, JD.
Like, you can't talk shit about education and you have an Ivy League education, and then simultaneously you're a part of an administration that's doing things that are impacting rural areas. They're impacting farmers. They're impacting our food source. They're impacting education, especially for those areas that they already have a low literacy rate as it is. But then simultaneously, I will say this is going to create a very robust workforce that doesn't have enough knowledge to go out into the world and actually utilize or benefit from capitalism. It doesn't give you the opportunity to be part of a free enterprise that they claim that shit is all about anyways. You wouldn't even have the knowledge or know-how or access to resources to do said things.
People who voted for this administration thinking that they were going to get change got duped, because the change that they were getting and are getting, it is change. It's just not what they expected.
It's like, we're here for our people meaning the really, really rich motherfuckers.
Right. But you can't, nobody can, as much as we've seen the crash outs. I mean, I think we've played some crash outs here on this channel.
Crash outs, I'm not entertaining that shit, but thank you for showing me that exists and that is the thing.
Because those people, Marie, you can't, to me, it's funny because why would you expect anything different? I mean, the party who ran on Kamala's not black enough has a vice president with the same ethnicity background as Kamala. Maybe not the exact background, right? She didn't go to Howard and she's not from California, but still, I mean, I think it's Gala apple and pink lady apple at this point, but still apples. And then from there, well, all of the politicians, like we've been saying, nobody's really in there to do things that make sense as much as it might make sense for their personal square, for their family, for themselves. But then the people that voted for them, you probably are a second thought when they want to run again. And that's why I believe more and more Americans are staying home, not participating. But then you can't have it both ways, right? At least to me, not participating doesn't mean that you're not informed. You can't bitch about the price of eggs now, not knowing that we've gone through the record inflation that we've gone through, and then to not know that the country goes through record inflations every so many years. Like, shit just keeps going up, and the people keep getting shitted on as it goes up. We're still down there on the bottom, and the shit just.
My thing is the people that actually are like hopeful, which I like. Again, that's the crazy part about those immigrants coming to America. They are very hopeful after having been here for quite some time now. I'm confused as to why anyone that's been here for quite some time is hopeful or trust the politician or trust someone part of the establishment. That just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm like, I don't know. Like, also, I would like to smoke whatever drugs you smoke, whatever you're doing.
Nah.
I would like to do, but it's giving like PCP or something, because there ain't no motherfucking way that you're telling me you care about like what this other person is doing, or what, like you or not that you care, that you believe that they have good intentions. The idea that someone that has government contracts, a shit ton of them, is also auditing those same government departments they have that's so fucking weird. Like, how you think that, like, you trust that should be your big, like the moment you find like that, wait, they have a contract, that makes it a conflict of interest. There's certain
that's
things
that's the beauty of these conversations, though, Marie. Most of these people don't know, and then they find out, and it's this explosion of emotions because they've been lied to, they've been let down, they don't want to do anything about these things anymore.
Yes, doesn't do research, because that's the thing too. How often is someone like asking you for the source or some shit? Bitch, don't, like, so you want me to go? So I just gave you the info. Now you want me to also
give it to you?
Something like that happened to me like last week, and it was like the guy didn't believe. He said he did not say that, and I was so kind that I went and got the information,
did the research for him,
sat there and told him what, like, so he ain't had to listen to it all. At the 0.43 second mark, you're going to hear blah, 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 the thing you said he didn't say. But it's not it should be your responsibility to go and like look into something, do your own research. Like, right. That could be like, why would you trust me? Like, you should not trust me. But just like you should not trust me, don't ask me to present your sources. You go find that shit out for yourself. People it's like no one wants to fucking read. Everyone wants quick data. Everyone wants a microwave solution. And that's the problem there too, is that you think there's a microwave solution in something that is so intricate. So, like, in essence, the corruption is woven so deep, which in essence, the closest thing you would ever get to a microwave solution is the complete destruction and dissolution of the government.
There you go. Just put the foil in the microwave and hit start. Boom. Start over. And I'm here for anything that makes sense. Right now, people not understanding the situation that they're in, and they voted for the situation, is like I don't know if I had told y'all about the Border Patrol agent who was also illegal, who was rounded up. But I don't know why you'd go work for Border Patrol knowing that you're not supposed to be here. But it's like maybe people haven't seen Scarface.
He needed a job. Then he was trying to get back to Mexico. He couldn't afford a ticket. What's happening to our screen? Why is that?
Oh, no, wait. Yeah, the white lady is on the screen again. Hold on.
The White House has said that DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and Elon Musk are simply advising these federal agencies, but ultimately it's up to the agency heads, the secretaries, to make the final decisions on cuts, who's getting fired or hired. As for supporters of President Trump, I spoke to a number of them as well. And while they say that this is long overdue, that they like downsizing federal government, one Trump supporter did tell me he feels like the cuts so far have been made too abruptly.
I think it was a little quick. I think you probably could have rolled it out a little better. But I think overall it's going to be good in the long run.
I don't think it's too abrupt. Unfortunately, we do have to pull the rug out after a while. I mean, the spigot has got to stop. This has just been ridiculous.
Now, Wallen Ash.
And I would agree that some of these things are ridiculous. I mean, Trump getting into office and having to make any type of executive statement about male and female biology is strange to me. It's also strange to me that
like, who asked for that? Was it that serious? And I know how, like, I don't give a fuck what you do behind closed doors. You could call yourself a mountain, a motherfucking unicorn. What the fuck does that really have to do with me and my tax dollars?
Look, it's crazy that you say that, because the amount of people that I've seen saying that they've lost their job, their specific DEI job, and it's always been a person who has like a rainbow in their profile, a person who's very pronoun sensitive. They've lost their DEI job.
You think that's the only people?
Say one more time.
That's the only people you've heard vocalize that?
No. I'm saying that what you just said, it's glaring to me, because the people who are saying, "Oh, I was a good worker in my," and when I say specific DEI job, like it's in their title of their job. I was a good blah 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 DEI representative. There's one specific guy, I think he was working for the CIA. I was going to say CEI. That must be Spanish. No, I'm just playing. The CIA. And he had posted, he was so proud of getting this job. Maybe it's the FBI. Diversity job. And then when these first cuts went out, he was one of the first people out, and he tweeted about that as well. And I'm like, yeah, when you lead with sex, what have you done? And then I think that's really what we've got. A lot of people are leading with sex. But then it goes back to what was said in the chat. TJ said it, the insecurities. Marie, I don't know if you've had this teacher or seen this teacher, but they're gay, right? And this is back in the day. And everybody has a picture of their family on their desk, but the gay teacher doesn't have a picture of their family. The students ask about the teacher, like, hey, are you married? Do you got a spouse? And they're all, hush hush about it, because this is back in the day. Let's say it's 20 years ago. Flash forward to today, people can have their spouse, significant other, or whatever on their desks. And this is in school, right? So then children ask questions because they're children. And it's all this slippery slope of inclusivity that I find that, again, when we're leading with sex, it takes away from the job. Are you a good teacher? Are you teaching good values? Let's start there, maybe.
I've never really seen teachers have their significant other on their desk. I have a relative that when it was discovered that he was gay, the kids really made his life a living hell. And it wasn't that he posted a picture, something just came up. And
what grade level was this?
I want to say it was junior high or high school.
Okay, yeah, that's a tough age.
Especially also because
be a gay man around children.
Like he doesn't fit the stereotypical, which I know other gay men that are into sports, regular heterosexual sports, they have heterosexual friends. For me, but for me, I guess it's always like I don't believe in mistreating someone because of their lifestyle. We're like, you're mean, I'm gonna be mean to you. I don't give a fuck what you look like, what your ethnicity is, who you love, who you don't like. It's how you treat me is how I'm gonna treat you accordingly. And I just feel like that's how we should operate throughout the world. And so for me, I don't.
The golden rule aspect of it all.
I never care. Like I don't even understand why it should matter, to be honest with you, or the why when someone finds out it makes them uncomfortable, or things like that. That's just I don't get that myself. And then the thing is, I would think that it's kind of like, it's not even something you necessarily have to wear or people are going to find out, but it could be depending on your tones or mannerisms. People will make assumptions about you. Or even too, I've seen preppier men come across kind of gay and they're straight. But it's like, oh, I actually would have thought you were gay. Crazy. Or like in my head, like, you might be secretly, but okay. But
just sip that tea.
I think that people do have, I think that there are organizations or even roles within companies where they give people ambassador sort of roles, which again do create those diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's like, but I think that wherever you are, whatever you are, whoever you are, when you walk into a workplace, you should feel comfortable. You should have that ramp. You should have, you should be able to go breastfeed in that little side room because we have all this fucking money. And at the end of the day, for my employees, if my employees aren't good, they're not going to do a good job for me on a selfish level. Right. They're not going to do a good job for me on the work front because they're concerned with things at home. Right. They're not good at home. Maybe they don't have health insurance. Maybe she needs a breastfeed. She can't. I need to make sure that I'm creating an inclusive environment for all my employees so that they can come here and bust their ass for me and feel good about it, want to do it. They love coming to work because I've made them feel good about it. You know what I mean? And again, I'm going to get more work out of them. Like, yes, it's a win for me. They're thinking I'm doing them a favor and shit. Bitch, I just want you to work.
It's a win-win over here.
Like, what?
I think that that's the difference between the different types of leaders, right?
I really appreciate this thing you did today. Like, because I need you to do your motherfucking job and support my clients. And I want to support my clients. They're, so good job, Ethan. Thank you so much, Ethan, for getting that resolved for them so quickly. Kudos to you. Really appreciate you helping garner the relationship.
Look, that's that customer service thing that I talked about earlier. People really just want to be heard at the end of the day. They want to be felt like they are understood. And then for the most part, a lot of the noise goes away. But if we're going to be honest, some politician groups focused on the wrong shit, and then they got mad when people did the opposite.
The rules specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced. With the results of the previous 4 elections, our elected officers are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must elect 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender. So again, this is what we have to do for this vice chair race. We have to elect 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender. To ensure our process accounts for male, female, and non-binary candidates.
See, and to me, that's why the Democrats lost. Again, I don't think that Kamala should have lost. I think that she's got enough politician in her. No pun intended.
She was at least qualified. She was qualified. They just didn't have good policies.
They didn't have good policies, and then the popularity aspect was missing. As much as people like to use Black America as the gauge or the temperature check, it's actually a specific group of Black America. It's not the boule. It's never been the boule. It's always going to be the streets. That's why Obama had to be grassroots, even though the people in the area that he sprung up in Chicago said they hadn't heard from him or known who he was or what was going on until after things had already started percolating. But I just, I guess to maybe end out our little chat tonight, entitlement. I think that it's healthy if you can afford it. if you can't afford it, it might be a little expensive. Entitlement might be related to how much you can afford. And then from there, if you've got lobster eyes, but you really on a beans and frank type of balanced in your wallet, the math might not math for you, right? And then that's a first world problem, because why are you even thinking about steak when you can only afford beans and hot dogs?
Because when I get paid, beans and hot dogs don't taste good, steak does. And I got my money, and I'm going to go ahead and buy that goddamn steak today. I'm going to figure the rest out tomorrow. Maybe my gut.
Figure the rest out tomorrow, goddamn it.
Maybe I'm getting, what do they call that now? Income tax return. Look, I ain't seen one of them bitches in so long. I'm like, what do they call that? Like, yeah, maybe they just hit yes on my refund. It's coming.
There you go. Get that refund check.
At home food don't be tasting as good when you got some money in your account.
But I'm sorry, we got food at home has never sounded so good to me. And then look, that first world problems means that eventually, women in your life, you are going to want to start baking from scratch. And I'm sorry to tell you this at your very big age, because you thought you weren't going to ever want to do this thing. But no, you're going to, I don't know what it is. And look, okay, maybe it's not all women, but I find that a lot of women now are in the do for self era of their lives. And inside of that, well, you start saving money because you got food at home. And then, yeah, it might take a couple hours because you had to make all of it from scratch. And then they're going to eat it all in a matter of minutes. And that's okay. Because you did for self, and that's
no.
I think you can be entitled when you're
I can't wait to I almost feel like we need a real continuation of this first world problems. And I want to talk about food. I want to talk about resources. I want to talk about access. I want to talk about cultures and what's the norm. And I say that to say that even recently it was something where I made a joke, Keisha doesn't eat pork. And what I discovered just upon research, because niggas be such snobs, I don't eat okay. So it was I know for a fact, places like Cuba because of all the sanctions on them, outside of, pork is their own, that's what they have access to. They don't have cattle. If you do get access to those, to any other meat outside of borders, it's because of, you must have some type of
money,
access, right? Hawaii, very similar too. It's part of their land and their agriculture. And it kind of, and this, it's one thing again to choose, do what you want to do, but to frown upon and look down upon people when that really is coming from a place of privilege and entitlement. You have the luxury of saying, I choose not to eat this. I'm going to have this instead.
Yeah.
And so many people all over the globe do not have that luxury. And the irony too, it's the people, and they don't realize it even when they're saying it, when they're saying but you still eat pork, and you with your ghetto ass, you're using ethnocentrism. You're viewing my culture or this other culture based off of what you believe in or your belief system. And they were saying overall, and then I kind of dug into it just because I knew of these few countries where it's well, they don't really have, that's all they got. And it really was saying outside of, Muslim countries, India, and the illegal occupied territory of Palestine, for the most part, pork is exported everywhere because it's access. It's, right. It's a resource. And even some of the bourgeoisie places as well. Prosciutto.
Oh, yeah. Prosciutto is very expensive. Right.
But I want to have conversations about stuff.
I think that would be good.
About how we, even when we talk about what people should expect from an employer, that's a privilege. Being able to say, I'm not going to work somewhere, I'm going to work here instead. You work at that place, you're a sellout. Ooh, and that's the thing people don't realize. So many Americans aren't in position to pick and choose. And when you can pick and choose, you really come from a place of privilege and entitlement to some degree. If you can say, well, I choose not to work at this one place, I really didn't like their insurance options. It was kind of just, and matter of fact, they didn't have the unlimited PTO policy that was used to my previous employer. But these are things where you don't recognize that you too have a sense of entitlement, or even you're coming from a place of privilege because you matter of fact, you forgot even what the trenches look like. You're like, well, why would they work?
True.
Why would they do that? I would never work for an employer that would do this or that. And the whole time it's like, well, they needed a motherfucking job.
That part.
Any job, whatever job. I think even recently we were talking about even just income. You know, I think somebody was like, I had a friend, well, $20 an hour is a decent income. And then we really sat down and broke down $20 an hour. Then we even subtracted benefits from the $20 an hour. And then it was like, well, what if you had a car note and car insurance? What about rent? And even that $20 an hour was not a livable wage.
And you're not getting any welfare on $20 an hour unless you got
unless
like
you
a
have
billion
multiple
kids
or something, and then you're saying you're paying the child care, and even then, now you still can't afford to live nowhere because you got to pay for. There's so many variables.
Right.
So many Americans also just don't realize their place of privilege or where they are in that, and you know, and even too, they might even feel like, well, no, I don't have. You don't have. You may not have this or that, but you have this and that. But you have
that
this.
Would be a good little debate, though.
Granted.
I think that would be a wonderful part 2. You guys, if you liked tonight's conversation, make sure you let us know in the comments or just by hitting the likes. Actually, the 5 of you on Facebook who hit the heart, you went above and beyond the like. What do you say?
Well, you're a real one. Shout out to you all.
For sure. No, definitely.
All the hearts in the house tonight.
No, we will be back next week. First world problems are problematic, and I like how you're starting with accepting where you are. You know, when you know where you are, then you can make a better decision about what to do with the resources, if there are any resources, and then if there are none, well, you can make a decision about that too. Until next time, you guys be good or not. It's your world. You're an adult.
I mean, there are consequences, though. So
And
there are consequences to every decision that you make. Okay?
For sure. Good night. We'll see you next